Hi all, happy Friday. Happy to meet you during my second webinar about product ownership. And today we will be talking with you about 20 ways to collect feedback from users and customers. While we're waiting for a couple of minutes for the rest of people to join us, could you please share a bit of information about yourselves, whether you are from Andersen or not, and from what your countries, just for us to keep track of this information. Please share within the chat. And also, please share whether you were at the first webinar about the evolvement of product in the wrong direction, just for us to keep track of this information as well, whether you're just following the series of webinars. Okay, I assume that we can start our webinar and second. Okay, so just a quick introduction that building a product without customer feedback is like going through a thick forest without a compass. It's high probability that you will get lost. And unfortunately, with product, it can be quite bad for you because your product will face a failure and all the money that you spend on it will result in nothing. Just a couple of words about myself for those ones who see me at the first time. I'm an ex-B2B product manager. Over my career, I've launched about 15 products. A lot of them I have killed. I also have some startup experience, and I prefer to validate before building anything. That's why I usually say no to features that, let's say, came to the backlog without any proofs. So, talking about today's agenda, we will have three sections. The first one will be dedicated to product and feedback. The largest one will be dedicated to different techniques, how to collect feedback, and the last one will be about recommendations. At the end of this webinar, we will have Q&A sessions. So if you have some questions during the webinar, just feel free to submit them into the chat. And at the end of the webinar, I will try to answer them, of course, if I have enough knowledge to answer them. So let's start. First of all, let's figure out that feedback can fall into two categories. It's qualitative feedback and quantitative feedback. What's the difference between them? The qualitative feedback answers the question why customers do this or that scene, why they purchase a product, why they experience this problem, and qualitative feedback answers answers a lot of questions about the behavior of customers. And the quantitative feedback gives us insights on the number of people who experience this or that problem, the number of users who use this or that feature, and allows us to clusterize opinions against some options. If you will try to develop the product without the customer feedback, you will experience a series of problems. So the most critical of them are that you will not have traction with your users and with customers as well. That's a problem because without understanding what your customers and users anticipate, you will not be able to build a successful product, and it means that it will not be earning money. The other problem is that you will be delivering random features, and as a product manager or product owner, you're not interested in building a feature factory and just deliver shit instead of cool features. That's why you should collect a lot of customer feedback and prioritize it and build a product roadmap based on this feedback. And another problem, there will be no product growth, so it will be difficult for you to grow your user audience, as you will be not able to understand what they want. You will not be able to understand what stands behind their actions. So for you, it's vital to collect this information. And of course, customer feedback will help you to prioritize items within your backlog. And based on the qualitative and quantitative feedback and data insights, you can make better decisions. You can make data-informed decisions. So now let's just review what techniques for collecting feedback exist and which of them you can use in this or that situation. So first of all, I want to start with customer development. That is a quite common and popular technique for collecting feedback. Customer development, that's a methodology which technically implements the continuous customer research and feedback collection within your company. What it actually means that on a regular basis, you work with different customers, with different users, you engage them in participation in different interviews where you discuss with them different problems, why they decided to switch to your product, what solutions they consider, and you try to get a better understanding of why they chose your product, why they experience this problem, what kind of blockers they encounter on this way, what kind of solutions they tried to use before they started using your product. And based on this information, you can further scale the growth of your product. What you should consider when performing customer development, first of all, prepare a good list of questions for clarification. Don't try to dive into everything. Focus first on some most important things and then just unwind it and dive into other topics over time. And also don't use close-ended questions, use open-ended questions. Focus on the past experience and try to and ask your customers to describe their past experience, what they were doing, what they felt at some point of time, how they were trying to approach this problem. So just try to clarify more about their past experience rather than their expectations, wills, and desires in the future. The next method or technique is surveys. I assume that most of you have already used them for collecting this quantitative feedback. When you use surveys, just try to keep them simple as possible, just to focus them on one topic. So don't try to explore a lot of topics. So if you, for example, focus on the management of some entity, so just tailor your survey to and questions within it to this topic. Before you start sending these surveys to your customers and users, test them on your colleagues. Ensure that everyone within your team understands questions correctly and, if needed, adjust them. And of course, you can also perform some sort of A/B testing with surveys and see which of them provides more accurate results and have better, let's say, response rates. The next technique is emails. We use emails on a regular basis, but again, you can also use them to collect feedback from customers. When they start using your product, you can send emails about onboarding. When they purchase your product, you can also send some follow-up emails. When customers quit your product, you can also try to capture or try to perform some sort of exit interview with your customers just to better understand why they decided to uninstall or to stop using your product. What is good about emails that you can also integrate them with your system. And in this case, you can also send some contextual emails. For example, some event happens in the system and you can react with an email to the user or send some hints how to do this or that thing if you can, for example, do this in line with your application. What is important about emails is that you should not create one version and send it all the time. Just do a lot of experiments, perform A/B test, try to use different subjects, try to use different email bodies, and see which of them provides better open rates and which of them provide better response rates. The next one is support tickets. If we talk about support tickets, so it's more like a spy-ish way to collect feedback. In most companies, you will have some sort of support engineers and customer success teams who will be working with your customers on their support request. You as a product owner or as a product manager, you can also engage into this process. And for example, at the end of the ticket lifecycle, when the issue is resolved, you can also propose your users and customers to participate in some sort of the interview. If they do not want to do it, you can also try to challenge them with some additional questions about your product, about its usage, what they like, what they dislike, and what they want to improve, or what kind of problems the product does not address. Based on the support request, you can build trust relationships with your users and customers, and you can easier convert them into paying customers. And also these additional interactions, especially when they see that the product owner interacts with them, so it's not just some support guy from the tech support, but just the product manager, product owner, you can increase their loyalty to your product. So you can use this technique also. Feedback forums. In situations when you want to expose your product roadmap as some public resource, you can use feedback forums where you can publish the list of high-level ideas with some description of what you plan to deliver, and you can engage your users and customers to vote on them, share the ideas, thoughts, maybe contribute these ideas with additional problems, additional use cases, and with feedback forums you can achieve this and you can get more information. What is important here to notice, to note is that you should try to engage users and customers, because not everyone is eager to go to some additional resource, create an account, and vote on some feature. In general, you can also try to implement some sort of gamification that the top contributor will get some prize from you or something like that. And you can use the collected information to validate, for example, new ideas, to validate some potential ideas which you want to see in some long term. And what you should consider is that as the number of votes you get, you should use them carefully, because in some situations you may not fully know whether it were users or customers voting on this or that feature, and that's why just use them as a sort of information to consider, but not information that can give you just an exact decision regarding whether to implement this feature or not. Then the next technique that you can use is chatbots. Now, with development of artificial intelligence, they have become much powerful than they were. And at the moment, you can use these chatbots to collect ideas, to perform different sort of requests, perform some ratings, analysis, collect feedback, classify the feedback. And here you should consider that artificial intelligence may experience some sort of hallucinations over time on the feedback, and in some situations it may not properly understand what the customer tries to tell you. That is why be careful and try to provide some sort of backup of a person who will be also taking a look and ensure that what artificial intelligence captured is accurate to what customers really want. And besides just qualitative data, chatbots can provide you with some quantitative data about the number of features, about the popularity of features, about the count of problems, and so on and so forth. The next technique which you can use is push forms. Within your application, you can implement some contextual push forms, which will appear once some sort of event happens within your system. For example, someone performs 5 searches, and after the fifth attempt, you can also check them whether you're satisfied with search results. I assume you can see this experience on YouTube or within Jira Cloud. They use this panel. What you should consider is that you shouldn't be too annoying. Don't show these forms too many times to the same person. Just try to vary it and use conditions. And of course, just keep them simple. Don't ask for too much information, and they can give you just more like sort of contextual help, whether the feature operates correctly, whether it performs at the level which the customer is satisfied. And of course, don't try to create different kind of variants just to better understand which of them provides better results and converts in more responses. The next one is quite old, and I assume at the moment is rarely used, is phone calls. But when your customers, for example, they do not operate a lot online, they operate offline, so you can use phone calls just to reach out to them. The main problem here is that you will not have visual contact with them, and it will be difficult to track some nonverbal signs. That's why in some situations, customers may not tell you the truth, and it will be difficult for you to understand whether it's true or false. And if possible, you should also try to record these calls, because you may miss some information or you may misunderstand, and phone recordings can help you to recover these misunderstandings. And of course, if you connect it to some artificial intelligence, it can also create you a script and further, let's say, extract some sort of insights and requirements from what you've heard. The next technique which you can use is webinars. In this case, what you do, you organize a webinar, you dedicate it to some topic, and you invite people who will be telling about this topic, about new functionality, about maybe future functionality, and you engage people to submit their thoughts, their ideas, maybe collect information about use cases. In this case, this technique is very useful during the planning stage, during the stage when you're not sure that you're developing the right things, or whether you want more feedback. And what you should consider is that the feedback collected during webinars may be a bit biased, because you may have some people who are not really familiar with the product, people who just came accidentally, and they may share some, let's say, not very useful information. That's why you will have to sort out this. And also, what you should consider, when people ask questions, you can use these questions just to enrich your knowledge base, to update marketing and product documentation with additional information. Because if people ask questions, it means that you can address these questions within your documentation and provide these insights to them without a need to reach out to you. The next technique which you can use is workshops. In this case, for you, it's needed to find, organize, and collect users or customers of your product, and sit with them together and try to implement some sort of case or perform some, let's say, training session. During these workshops, you can observe how your users and customers behave in real life, how they interact with your product, what problems they encounter, what confuses them, what puzzles them. And it's very good to have some assistants during these workshops who can also help you with the attendees, and who will be helping you with collecting insights. And here you should be consider that you should be quite patient and calm, because as it appears, when people start interacting with your products in a group, they maybe have not the way like you expect. Not everyone is a genius, and you may experience some sort of frustration and anger. So just try to keep calm and try to help them and dive deeper into the problems that they experience at the moment. The next one is usability research. In this case, you can also get some qualitative and quantitative data, just depending on, let's say, on the objective of your research. What you should consider, first of all, you should create a scenario which you want to test. It's very good to test new features, just understand whether everyone understands what this is a feature performs, whether your user flows are easy to follow, whether all UI elements are easy to locate. In this case, you should also have some sort of assistant who will be just helping you if needed. But anyway, you can record these sessions if needed, and you can watch them alone. What you should ask during these usability research sessions, just try to ask a lot of questions. Why? Try to ask questions what you see, what you understand from this or that screen, what puzzles you, what confuses you, what kind of problems, what you do not understand. And just going through this research, you can get a lot of insights, especially about user experience that you can further solve with your designer. And of course, don't forget to invite the designer. He will be quite surprised with how many problems this your product has. The next way that you can collect feedback is product or customer advisor board. You can find two terms for this. In this case, what you do, you recruit early adopters into some form of advisor board. You give them some, let's say, free access or some additional perks for participation. And these people, you have some regular calls with them where you discuss how the product performs, whether they have some problems, what kind of issues they encounter on a regular basis. As a customer advisor board can also help you to track a lot of issues in advance before real customers will come and tell to you. You can also capture a lot of user UX problems within your product. Try to find quite proactive people because they will be writing to you, not you. And based on these relationships with these people, you can also make them like product promoters, so they will become your word of mouth. And here is important thing to notice: when you delegate some sort of responsibility to these people, they will consider themselves as experts with your product. And here, try to use product analytics as a backup to verify that these people are not lying to you, because in some situations they may not have enough time to explore all the features or to explore a new feature in all details, and they may start lying to you and provide you with some sort of incorrect insights and information. The next one is product analytics. That's the most precise and exact way to measure how your audience reacts to your product, and that's the most, let's say, exact feedback about this or that feature. With the product analytics, you can see which feature is used, how the flows are built. Existing analytics platform allows you to build a lot of things and track a lot of things in breakdown by different segments and events and a lot of other things. What you should consider is that product analytics will not give you an understanding of why they are doing this or that thing, why their performances flow not in the way you expect it to do, but they give you a good opportunity to make further hypotheses and explore them in future versions of your product. The next is NPS. I do not consider it as a very useful tool but almost every product has it. That's why I just decided to include it. With NPS, you can capture the information about how users and customers like your product. But here should be careful that based on the score that you receive, you can understand promoters and detractors, and just based on this information, you could further calculate NPS score. What you should also consider that besides the score, you can also ask them to explain why they decided to give you this score. But again, a lot of people from the product world, they consider it as not very useful, and this way doesn't provide good insights about the product itself. But you can use it to segment your users as people who are passionate about your product, people who do not like, and people who are quite neutral to it. And based on this, you can further think about the product strategy, how to adapt your product to all the segments. The next way is feedback widgets. It's pretty simple. You just place some icon which opens a form where a person can enter some information, something like idea, support request, or any other inquiry about your product. Here, try to have some person who will be replying to these tickets, to these requests, so people will understand that someone at your site is actively monitoring this information, and they can get real-time, let's say, support from you as well. Based on these feedback widgets, you can collect some insights, but again, the quality of these insights will not be as high as, for example, if compared against custom development. The next way is blog posts. So, for example, when you release a new feature, or when you plan to release something or to develop something, you may create some sort of a fake blog post or a real blog post about the released feature, and you can engage your customers to participate and share their thoughts, ideas, what they like, what they dislike about this feature. You can also ask them about some additional use cases that they can contribute to some potential features that you plan to develop. And in this case, you can also try to make some interviews with these people who are commenting on your product. So just provide the timely responses to the comments, and people will share some information with you, which you can also use. But again, the quality of this feedback will maybe not very high and accurate as you expect. The next one is social network posts. So a lot of companies with great user audience in social networks, so they can use social posts to collect information about the feedback, about problems that people encounter, about additional things which then maybe usability problems. And you can also use it if you have a lot of customers who interact with you through social networks, or just at least subscribe to you. In cases if you launch a new product and you do not have many subscribers, just wait for a bit until you get more subscriptions. Otherwise, this way may not produce sufficient results for you. The next one is conferences or trade shows. This technique is very useful when you want to build a product from scratch, or when you have a cool idea and you need to validate it. At conferences and trade shows, you can approach people with expertise, with experience that you are looking for, people who can share some ideas on whether the problem is relevant or not, whether the problem is worth paying, or something like that. Here you can find a lot of people matching your criteria, so don't be shy. Start from a small talk and then just try to ask more questions. Try to dive into the problems that these people experience. Maybe you will have get some additional insights about this. And again, there are also some special professional conferences and trade shows. So if you operate within some ecosystems, you can also use them to collect information from your existing users and customers, and see them face to face and discuss additional things for product development. And what is important to note is that you can invite them to a cup of coffee or to a glass of beer, and a glass of beer can do a lot of magic and can give you so many insights that you will not be able just to digest them one through one time. The next one way is user community. I just want to note that that's a very expensive way, because building user community from scratch without having enough people is a real challenge. So in this case, this technique is more appropriate for mature products with some user audience, which they can convert into some more loyal users and customers. In this case, you can start from something simple, for example, like Slack, just to prove the idea that people are ready to join your user community. And after a while, you can convert it into something more comprehensive. What you should consider that it's not difficult to start a user community. It's quite difficult to preserve its active to preserve the activity. In some situations, you may even need some fake members who will be just trying to do something, simulate some activity. And what else you should consider? That just try to implement some sort of gamification here, try to promote, to offer some prizes for the top contributor, or at least some badges that everyone likes. The next technique, again, it's user session replace. It's again more like a spice technique when you place a JavaScript code on your website or within your web application, and you can track user sessions, how people interact with your product, with your functions, with your features. You can replace this recordings and see all different kind of UX problems that people experience, different kind of errors that may occur within the interface. The only problem here is that you cannot see real data because it's masked, but just for you, it's will be good as a product manager to see how people interact in real life. And again, you can also build some sort of a demo platform where you can put this code and you can capture, let's say, actual user sessions from this demo platform and see how they interact with your product if you have, again, capacity for doing this. The problem here is that it will require a lot of time to review the sessions, but these services that provide this user session replace, they already implement some sort of artificial intelligence, which allows you to focus on specific actions or problems, so you can just simplify your experience with that. And the main problem here, which you will experience, is frustration, because people will be reacting in a very unpredictable manner. They will be doing some random things, and it will cause some sort of frustration on your side. So just stay positive and consider it as a way for improvement within your product. The next way is A/B testing. So in this case, you can get some quantitative feedback. So based on comparing different versions, you can get information which of them your customers like better, or which of them converts better, or something like that. In some situations, the A/B testing can be quite expensive or difficult to implement, and but it can be very precise and can give you a very precise information which of the variants operate or perform better, but you will not get the understanding why. So in this case, you will still need to perform some sort of customer development afterwards, just to better understand why people decide to choose this version, if possible, of course. What you should consider that it's very easy to get incorrect test results. So just go on the internet, read a lot of resources dedicated to A/B testing, and the mistakes and problems that occur during the execution. And again, if you do not have enough people, enough users for testing, A/B test will not help you because you will not get a statistically significant audience for that. The last technique is product reviews. There are different app stores or marketplaces where people can come and leave their reviews, and you can use them as a source of feedback. With existing artificial intelligence tools, you can quickly aggregate them, count, identify some sort of insights through reviews. So you, as a product manager, product owner, can use them. There are also special catalogs where different sorts of platforms and systems are listed as well. So you can also use them to collect information about your product, feedback, ideas, and problems. And what is good with product reviews, they also provide quantitative data. So if some problem persists with a new product, your reviews will definitely tell you about that. What you should consider that in some situation you may get some sort of fake reviews, but usually there are some moderating systems which can either hide this or ignore them. And I assume that's all for the feedback collection techniques. So let's just go through the list of recommendations on feedback. So regarding the recommendations on feedback, first of all, focus on the problem, not the solution, because when customer comes to you and gives you a description of what they want to receive, this is not good. Just dive into the actual problem or the experience, because different users will have different problems and they will have different solutions. You as a product owner or product manager need to find some sort of balance between all these problems and develop a solution that will address all of them. That's why focus on the problem. Also consider the user segmentation. In, let's say, feedback from users and feedback from customers may differ. Even feedback from free users or trial users may differ. That's why consider segmentation. Remember that people are lying. They may do it intentionally or not intentionally, but you as product owner or product manager should focus on the past experience and the approaches that they use to solve this or that feature. If people are ready to give you money to pay for the solution which doesn't exist, it indicates that they really need it. Don't forget to ask a lot of why questions, because they can give you more understanding of the user behavior, of motivations that stand behind this or that action, and can give you more, let's say, a better understanding of why customers choose your product and what value it delivers to them. Again, if you, during, for example, your interviews, you do not fully understand what the customer means, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Just try to clarify the point with the user or the customer, or just tell your version and ask the customer to verify whether you understand it correctly or not. If possible, record the interviews and review them later, because during the recording, you may capture some additional information which you missed during the interview itself. It's usually, especially when you do not have some assistant who is making notes during the interview. It's also important to pay attention to non-verbal signs, because gestures, facial expressions, some touches, they can indicate that the person is not sure about what he's telling you, or whether they are lying to you, or whether the problem is not so critical. And this verbal sign, non-verbal signs can help you. And also use open-ended questions, because if you will provide some sort of alternative questions, or questions like, do you like our app, you will get an answer yes, because people will not like to dissatisfy you with their answer. Try to get information about the ground, about the problem, about the experience. Ask them to explain what's going on, explain their motivation, and you will get a lot of insights from this information. Um, don't help respondents answer your questions or give them hints. So just try to keep them non-biased, so they do not have any variance. They should answer what they feel, what they experienced, and so on and so forth. Also test all your solutions for collection feedback on your colleagues before going into production, because different people have different perception of information, and this preliminary test can help you to design better surveys, better interviews, and other things which your users and customers will understand. And of course, use the words and terms that your customers understand. Don't use the many professional slang terms. And collect feedback regularly. If you, for example, dedicate 1 month to collect feedback and then for another year you do nothing about that, that's bad. Feedback collection should be on a regular basis. Every month, every day, you should dedicate a bit of time to collect feedback. Maybe it's custom interviews, maybe it's some review of product reviews, user sessions, and something like that. There are a lot of ways. And also, just to simplify this routine task, try to automate the feedback collection with the existing tools and artificial intelligence that exist in the moment. So I assume that's all for recommendations. Just some sort of final word. That customer feedback is a basis to build successful products, but you should be careful with it not to get biased. So feedback, besides feedback, you should consider some common sense and see problems. First of all, because not every problem should be addressed, and not every problem should be addressed the way the customer wants. That's why be careful with that, and design products that will target the larger user audience, not just 1 or 2 customers with this problem. Now it's time for Q&A sessions. So I will have one request for you. Please use this QR code to leave your feedback about this webinar, just for us to understand what to improve. And if you have some topics that you want to explore more, just also leave them using this feedback. Okay, so regarding the questions that I see about the quality, speed, and effort, I use some sort of the ranking to indicate quality, speed, and efforts which you need to spend on implementation of this or that thing. Quality indicates the quality of feedback that you will receive. So in some situations, you might have high quality feedback with a lot of insights. And in some situations, you may get some trivial feedback about some small trifles, about some small problems. So here you will have 1 or 2 stars. About speed, here I mean the speed of collecting feedback. So it may also vary. In some situation, you can get feedback quite fast. In some situation, you will need some time before this feedback will start coming to your pipeline. And about efforts mean money and efforts to implement this or that feedback technique. That is why it may take some time, for example, to build a user community, for example, 1 or 2 years. Or in case of surveys, it can take you about 2 days to prepare a survey and send it to your end users. If you have other questions, just feel free to drop them into the chat. I will try to answer them. Which of them you use most of all? So regarding the most widely used way to collect feedback, I use customer development. That's for qualitative feedback. User session replays and emails and surveys. So they are the most popular from my side, which I use on a regular basis. Any other questions? Let's wait for 1 minute if we do not questions. So I assume we can stop the webinar and we can go on the weekend. Okay, my colleagues say that there are no more questions. So thanks everyone for joining this webinar. If you have any ideas or comments, just leave them within the feedback. So thank you for attendance. See you next time on a new webinar about the framework. Have a nice weekend.